It was another late night in Springfield, and Jason Walker found himself staring at the ceiling once again. The old ceiling fan above his bed creaked softly, casting rotating shadows across his bedroom. The digital clock on the nightstand glowed a dull red, 2:17 a.m. For the third night in a row, he hadn't gotten more than 2 hours of sleep. His eyes were heavy, but his thoughts were louder. It was as if the moment his head hit the pillow, a floodgate of unfinished to-dos, past conversations, and future worries burst open in his mind. Jason wasn't alone in this. Across the country, millions battled with sleeplessness. His wife Angela was lucky. The moment her head touched the pillow, she was out like a light. Even his golden retriever, Buddy, curled up at the foot of the bed, was snoring softly. But for Jason, sleep had become a luxury. He tried warm milk, white noise, lavender sprays, and even those expensive blackout curtains he ordered online. Nothing worked. He'd wake up groggy and irritated, dragging himself through another day fueled by caffeine and frustration. But something changed one night over dinner at his friend Matt's house. Matt had spent 2 years teaching English in South Korea and had recently returned home. As they sat around the table, Jason couldn't help but notice how relaxed and energized Matt looked. His skin was glowing, his smile was easy, and most of all, he looked well rested. "You've got to tell me your secret," Jason said as he forked a piece of grilled chicken. "You look like you sleep 10 hours a night." Matt laughed. "Close. About 7.5. But it's deep, restful sleep. Honestly, it's thanks to something I learned while I was in Korea. It's this simple 5-minute sleep trick that changed everything for me." Jason leaned forward, intrigued. 5 minutes. "It's called the military sleep technique over there, but it's been passed down through generations with a few Korean wellness twists," Matt explained. "You can do it lying in bed, and if you do it right, your mind shuts off like someone flipped a switch." Jason raised an eyebrow. "And this actually works." "It worked for me. I haven't had insomnia since." That night, back at home, Jason lay in bed and decided he had nothing to lose. He followed the instructions Matt had scribbled down for him on a napkin. He started by lying on his back, arms relaxed by his sides, and let his feet fall naturally outward. He began by tightening and relaxing his facial muscles, starting with the forehead, then the jaw. He told himself quietly in his head, "Relax your eyes. Relax your cheeks. Let go of your tongue." The next step was releasing tension from his shoulders, letting them sink into the bed, then down through his arms, his chest, and his stomach. Finally, he relaxed his legs, all the way down to his toes. The last part was the hardest, clearing the mind. Matt's tip for that: picture a still lake, calm and unmoving, or imagine lying in a dark room swaying gently in a hammock. Jason chose the hammock. He imagined it swaying slightly in the breeze, cocooned in warmth, distant waves crashing on a quiet beach. The next thing he remembered, it was morning. The sun peeked through the curtains, and for the first time in weeks, Jason didn't feel like a zombie. He sat up slowly, surprised. "Did I just sleep?" he whispered to himself. Angela walked in with 2 mugs of coffee and did a double take. "You look different," she said. "Did you actually sleep last night?" Jason chuckled. "I think I did. And I didn't even need the white noise machine." That night, Jason repeated the process. This time it felt even smoother, almost automatic. He reached that relaxed state quicker, and the visualization came with ease. His body seemed to melt into the mattress, and once again, he was asleep within minutes. No restlessness. No tossing and turning. Just calm, uninterrupted sleep. Within a week, Jason was a new man. He felt clearer, more patient, and surprisingly energetic. He didn't need 3 cups of coffee before noon anymore. His co-workers even commented on how cheerful he seemed. He was less reactive, more focused, and generally happier. Curious and excited, Jason shared the technique with his colleagues at the office. One of them, Michelle, had been suffering from jet lag after a recent trip. Try this tonight, Jason told her. It's only 5 minutes. You'll be out before you know it. Michelle texted him the next morning. OMG Jason. Best sleep I've had in months. Thank you. Encouraged, Jason began sharing the trick with more people. Family, friends, even his local gym instructor. He explained that while the trick originated in Korean military culture, the method had roots in mindfulness, muscle relaxation, and focused breathing, techniques now backed by modern sleep science. By week 3, Jason had even joined a local wellness podcast to talk about it, and the episode gained traction. People were hungry for solutions, not pills. They wanted natural ways to improve their sleep. Jason became somewhat of a sleep evangelist, but he never sold anything or offered miracle cures. He always started with, "This might not work for everyone, but it worked for me." He added his own touches over time. Sometimes he'd play soft instrumental music in the background. Other times he used gentle rain sounds. He found that repeating a simple phrase in his head helped him focus, like, "I am safe, I am calm, I am at peace." This mantra became part of his routine, guiding him into sleep gently like a lullaby. One evening, his teenage daughter, Lily, knocked on the door. "Dad, I can't sleep. I've got a test tomorrow and my brain won't shut up." Jason smiled. "Come here," he said, patting the bed beside him. He walked her through the steps, speaking softly, helping her relax each muscle group and guiding her visualization. Within minutes, Lily's breathing slowed and she was asleep. Jason quietly tiptoed out of the room, heart full. Years passed, and the 5-minute trick remained a staple in his life. Even when work got stressful or life felt overwhelming, he always returned to it. It became his nightly ritual, like brushing his teeth or turning off the lights. And every time he shared it with someone new, the reactions were the same: surprise, gratitude, and better sleep. Jason often thought about how one conversation over dinner had completely transformed his nights. He started journaling about his sleep journey, recording how his dreams became clearer, how his mental clarity improved, and how even his relationships became more harmonious. Sleep, he realized, was not just about physical rest. It was emotional reset, mental detox, and spiritual grounding all in one. Eventually, Jason wrote an ebook titled 5 Minutes to Knock You Out, a simple guide to better sleep. It wasn't a bestseller, but it reached enough people to make a difference. Emails poured in from readers who said it had changed their lives. One message stood out, from a soldier overseas who said the technique helped him sleep through night raids and artillery noise. Another came from a new mother who used the trick during short naps when her baby slept. The gratitude Jason received made him feel deeply fulfilled. One crisp autumn night, Jason stood on his porch looking up at the stars, his now gray hair tousled by the breeze. Angela came out, wrapping a shawl around her shoulders. "Another peaceful night," she said, taking his hand. Jason nodded. "You know, I think sleep saved me." Angela smiled. "No, you saved you. You just needed a little help from Korea."